yes, people, welcome back to Let's Talk Premier League. It's the Arsenal show. But obviously everyone isn't in the best of moods. I think is the way to put it. Obviously the news came out this morning that Claude, a huge Arsenal fan, a huge sort of YouTuber, passed away. I think that today's show is going to be slightly different. It's one of them that obviously everyone's just going to say their piece, talk sort of about Claude and about sort of what they want to. We might get into Arsenal news or stuff later on, but that's certainly not going to be at the forefront of our minds. To be honest, there will be no quiz. Obviously, that was something that we did last week. That is not appropriate to really be doing that. But Sulz, we'll start with you. Obviously, I don't even know how to frame the question. So I mean, just sort of say what you want, really. I mean, obviously it's a tough time for everyone that knew Claude, or you didn't even have to meet him really. You could just sort of get what he was about just by watching his content, really. A huge man with a
Claude was there for, you know, as far as fan channels go, he was one of the first there. You know, he's one of the biggest reasons why we are even together, because he was one of the reasons why AFTV were the platform they are. It is sad, man. But do you know what it is? I was thinking how to pay tribute to him. You just got to look at the good he's done. You know, I was going to come on here, you know, and talk about all the things that society's done to fail yet again another person. But let's look at the good. Let's remember him for what he's done for us, what legacy he's leaving behind, because I feel like that's how you honor someone, rather than, you know, trying to blast people out, you know, and the failings of society. We all know that. We know what society has done to fail people like him, you know, once again. But I want to say, you know what, like if it wasn't for him, would we be allowed to be fans with channels, with voices? Probably not. Because when AFTV launched, he launched with them. You know, he was one of the first figureheads on AFTV with the likes of Ty and etc. But he was one of the first I started watching. Respect the guy. Look, I did always agree. You know, I didn't always agree with the way he wanted to move Arsenal forward, but hell would freeze over if I ever thought that's going to make me abuse someone, you know. But a proper passionate guy, you know, a funny guy. Like do you know what I always use? I still to this day loved watching him. Just one of those ones where you're gonna get that passion, you know, in a different way. Opinions are going to be different, but the passion you can never deny, you can never question. It's going to be a big loss for the footballing community, you know, for the footballing world as well. Look at the people who have come out, you know, to pay tributes. Do you really think that if he was a bad person is the best way I'm going to put it, or a twat or a cunt or any of this, what people think he is, would people really give their time of day to pay tributes to him? You know, there's big, and I'm talking very big Arsenal channels who have decided to take the week off, decided not to do content for about a week just to kind of allow people to mourn. There's so many big characters within the Arsenal fan base who are deciding, you know what, we're gonna properly. Kenny, I'm gonna tell you, if you can just delete that, please. I don't.
Yeah, just.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm sorry
the
say that.
We don't want to. Yeah. Everyone can have their opinion on that, but I think it's best.
I don't want to mention it. Yeah, I don't want to say it. I don't want it to be mentioned.
It's best kept in our own heads at the moment, and just when it comes out, it comes out. But that sort of stuff, that sort of thing, just keep it in the head. Just you can think it. Just don't say it and don't write it. That would be my advice to you.
Yeah, I mean, he was an amazing person, man. It was, it's a big loss. It's a big loss. But you know what? The way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna look at all the good. You know, all the good memories he's given us, man. Like, think about the phrases that, you know, we're gonna use for years to come. I'm not, and I don't want to make it into a joke, but I want to just honor him in the right way. It's time to go. You know, things like that are going to be things that we're never ever going to forget. That's going to be the first thing we're always going to remember. Even if you look at Arsenal fan reactions, he's one of the first names there. He's left a legacy. He's left history behind because he's given us a voice. As much as people may hate the platform of AFTV or whatever, but him going on there has allowed fans to have a voice. And that's one of the biggest things he's going to be remembered for. And I hope that we don't forget it in the time. And I hope moving forward, we understand the wrongs we've done. I'm not saying people on this platform have done that, but I'm just hoping that we can remember and cherish these moments that we've had. Because I can't come on here, not today. Maybe if you spoke to me in a month's time, I'll be in a different mood to, want to talk about people that have let him down. But today, especially today, I think we've got to honor and respect him in the right way and just talk about the good he's done for us, the hearts he's touched. Because as much as we disagree, he's changed our views, made us confident to actually come on a platform with his own mental struggles. He's showing people that actually, you can be going through the shittest phases in your life, but come out there and put smiles on people's faces in your own way. And that's what he done. And that's what I'm going to remember. But I'm going to leave it there because it's going to end up becoming a rant about what people have done to let him down. But that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, no, I echo everything you've said there. A couple of comments here. James, big up James in the comments. Rest in peace, Claude. RIP Claude, an amazing Arsenal fan, gone but not forgotten. Hope they do a minute silence on the Arsenal game. I think that will be something for the club and the family to work out together. I think obviously everyone's entitled to their opinion, but that will be up to Arsenal, and they've obviously paid tribute to Claude in a tweet earlier. Such sad news today. RIP Claude. Any time is always going to be too soon for things like this. Sulz is right. We need to remember things like this in the right way. No, I totally agree. I think it's about how we do it and doing it tactfully and not abusing people. It's too raw at the moment. But Aaron, what do you want to sort of say, mate?
I just wanted to say, obviously, rest in peace to Claude, who obviously destigmatized what it meant to be a fan who wanted to speak up on large platforms about football. And, him, even people like Troops, AFTV and other fan channels and prominent figures of that sense really did break down this sense of elitism that you could only talk about football to a large group of people if you was, let's say, a guest on TalkSport on the call-in show, which really a lot of the time TalkSport would really be having you on there to take the piss out of you almost. But what people like Robbie did and Claude obviously was they became the platform themselves rather than being hosted on someone else's, and they really basically set up the foundations for this show right here, for all of our channels, because basically without those people that lay those foundations, we don't even really have the ideas to do these things and even dream that we can do it on the scale of where you could go full time someday. And I think first and foremost in that sense, Claude should always be remembered, and he should be remembered as somebody who, when going through enormous amounts of struggle, was still there every single day, fighting for the opinion of fans, giving his opinion. And I don't know if I could have done that as a human being for me, because I don't know if I would have the strength. And he was an incredibly strong person who, despite all of because I saw it on his streams, despite all of the things that were said to him, he would always keep going, and he was such a huge shining light on this community. And that's why, and I know Sulz said that there's obviously his passing away represents so much more, and those things we can speak about at another time. But for me, I'm tired of this. Let's talk about it later. We need to have a conversation about it, because that's what we say every single time something happens. We say we'll talk about it later, or yeah, this is a discussion. But when people say we need to have a discussion, well, when is that discussion supposed to happen? Because it actually never does get spoken about. It happens and then it becomes like a cycle. And then we say the next time, oh, we need to speak more about mental health. We need to speak more about these issues of, online social media hate. But when do those discussions actually happen? And I'm actually angry at the fact that collectively we have actually failed, not just Claude, but people like him, because there are millions around the world. We've basically failed those kinds of people, and they've been left behind ultimately to suffer, as a consequence of us not really, I wouldn't say not taking it seriously, but really, really doing what we say and upholding the values that we basically are spouting every day online of we care about mental health. But it is really time. Like, if you care, you have to care. And if you don't, then don't pretend that you uphold these values, because you simply don't, because that's even more harmful than just being passive, just pretending to care. So I hope that we all do some sort of self-reflection upon this, and we look for it to better ourselves. And actually we can honor Claude a lot more if we actually use it to reflect and really, be better people, and we can prevent, the struggle of a lot of people by helping them and not harming them. So rest in peace, Claude, and I hope his family and everyone who loved him and his close ones, I hope they're able to grieve properly and grieve without, God forbid, people harassing them as well. I hope they're able to grieve and remember that him in the way they want. So yeah, that's my my take on the situation.
Yeah, I mean, brilliantly put. I think reflection is hugely needed from everyone, and that will come in the coming days. And just like it did with Caroline Flack, I'm sure everyone will say their bit on social media. But we need to enact real change, and we need to really understand what our words mean, and what if you it was something Manan said, and I've taken it with me all my life, and it's such a simple phrase. If you've got nothing better to say, don't say anything at all. If you've got nothing nice to say, don't say anything. It's something I've took all the way through my life. I mean, hence why I don't send abuse to people online. It's something that if I have a problem with you, I'm just not going to say anything. So that's the way I've done it, and hopefully in the future more people can learn that phrase and sort of roll with it, because it's such a valuable phrase. It's something that I've always sort of taken with me. But Scott, what's your feelings and thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's a real somber day for us all. I can't really put my thoughts probably any better than the guys have already done. I mean, the way I can, the biggest thing I can say is that I've been a miserable git today. I genuinely, for somebody that I've never spoke to, I've never personally met. I walked past him at the Emirates one time, but as soon as I read the news this morning, the heart sank. And that's a very natural reaction for a friend or a family relative or even a pet. You have that natural reaction. The strongest thing I can say for Claude is that I'm not the only one who felt like that today. There'd have been thousands, and we can see by looking on social media, there's thousands of people that are expressing their well wishes, and you think to yourself, that was the reach that the guy had. And as the guys have already touched on, ultimately he was a pioneer. The initial group of guys that made that channel grow very initially has spawned other channels and people like ourselves who have gone, actually, that's something I'd be interested in doing. That's something I want to give it a go. And it's the old saying that the greats go young, and he will go down as a great. He will be forever remembered. And I just hope that once the dust has settled, there's a lot of emotion outpouring on social media at the moment, and that's quite natural. I hope that when the dust settles, that people do remember the positives, the good things that he brought to the community. I've seen it today. I put out a harmless tweet today that in response, because like everybody, a lot of people have put out like rest in peace and it's very sad and stuff like this, and that's absolutely fine, and that's paying your respects, and that's absolutely fine. But as we've just touched on before, talking about saying things and addressing what as we as a what we are going to do going forward in regards to mental health and in regards to how we speak and the lesson you just mentioned there about if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. I mean, I was taught that as a kid, and I don't have children, but that will be one of the first values you should teach people. It's a very good life lesson to learn. Unfortunately, with the rise of social media has been the rise of this backbone that we all seem to have. And I'll say we because I am a part of this, not that necessarily I'm guilty of it, but we all have this backbone. As soon as we're behind this camera, we're behind this screen, we're behind a keyboard or a phone. And there's maybe many channels like ourselves, there'll be many of us that'll be talking about it's wrong what's happening and how we speak to each other and the abuse that goes on. But what would be nice is that and perhaps this is I spoke to my partner earlier, who obviously doesn't know Claude, but about the situation. And the first thing she said to me was, well, that's men. And I said, well, what do you mean? She said, well, men are terrible at expressing their feelings. You guys are, she knows the real me. She knows who I am behind this door, but that's not necessarily what I will show people outside the door, necessarily to you guys on social media or anybody else. And we as, we need to, and I know there has been campaigns there to try and get people speaking and talking. And I see lots of tweets today, people saying, if you need to speak, just drop me a line. But people need to feel comfortable and doing it. People need to feel love. And the tweet I put out earlier, I just said, it's clear that the most love you'll ever hear or see will be when you're gone and you can't see it. This is something the human race never learns from and needs to work on. I didn't really put too much thought into that tweet. I was just trying to basically get across that why is it, as you mentioned with Caroline Flack, why is it something tragic has to happen for all this outpour of emotion, all this positivity, all this, what a great person this is, or, that's brilliant. But how about we take a small percentage of that and we do that day to day? Because, realistically, a lot of stuff that's happened, and this is not specific to Claude, but there would have been a lot of things that have happened to people, tragic things that may necessarily not have happened. And that tweet's just gone completely viral for some reason. And because I think people can just relate that we need to show each other love. But why is it, and specifically guys, why is it because ultimately it doesn't matter how we dress it up, the football community is primarily male based. It's very, very male based. Why is it we are so bad at it? Why can't we say nice things to each other? Why is it got to be banter? And if it isn't banter, if you disagree with me, it turns into abuse. It's tragic what's happened. I dock my hat to Claude. I won't keep my hat off too long. I'm sure you'll understand. My hair doesn't look too good at the moment with lockdown. But like I say, I've been a miserable git today, and I did a stream earlier on, and I just didn't. I'd already pre-planned it, and I'm still getting used to doing these streams. So I thought I'd just go ahead with it, but I've not been myself, and I think it's probably the same for a lot of people.
I mean, Sulz can tell you that normally when we do opening credits, I'm much more excited and happy to do it. But today it's a hard day for everyone. I mean, I personally never met Claude, but I'd watched some content that he was on, and he looked like and sounded and acted like a lovely guy that had a huge heart, and you can get that over videos. I mean, and you someone said about AFTV and him being one of the main ones and creating this platform for the rest of us to do this, and I think obviously the Terrace as well, obviously back in their days of Fan Park Live and all of that. I mean, these people have worked so hard to allow other people to have that voice and to share their opinions, and I think a lot of people will be able to look at the tweet you put and relate to it. And men, we are I mean, we can dress it up as much as we want, but we are a weird bunch of people, because sharing emotions, telling people how you feel isn't normally something you associate with men. It's associated as a weakness, or you're not a man.
I feel like our generation, we're all probably similar sort of ages, give or take. This generation, we've grown up. Social media wasn't around when I was a teenager. I know, and it now is. We are not necessarily guinea pigs, but I really hope that in 10 years, 20 years, things are completely different, and they'll look back and go, God, how terrible was. Do you remember? My kids, if I have them, will look back and go, do you remember when you used to be able to get a Facebook account and you could just create a login? Do you remember when you could get a Twitter account and just create it? You know, you hope that, and it's probably a conversation perhaps for another show or a dedicated show about, you know, how the social media companies can help, because there's only so much. As I mentioned earlier, I said the human race because I want it to be all encompassing, but that is all of us, and we can do everything we can, but the technology beneath it needs to assist, because the technology, I work in IT, and if the infrastructure is not there, if it's not working in the right direction, you don't get the end result. And as Thierry Henry put earlier in the week, obviously leaving social media, and he mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but he mentioned about the copyright and the fact that if you post any kind of thing that Twitter would, and I'll use Twitter as an example, but it's the case across the board. If you add anything that's got a slight copyright, they will have that down instantly, and that absolutely infuriates me. And it's fantastic that he's highlighted it, and I know it's been highlighted before. But where's that drive? Where is that? Why? My honest opinion, and the reason that these social media companies don't do it is because of that. Because if copyright content is online, they potentially could be, you know, they can be open up to all sorts. I don't know what the answer is. You know, Arsenal obviously today, I don't know if you guys have caught it. I was reading it just about an hour ago. They've ironically today have posted about the campaign they're now launching to help with discrimination of whatever it may be, whether it be racism, hatred. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah. Mikel Arteta had a few words as well with the press, and his hashtag stop abuse and stop discrimination. It's a very big campaign that's launched. But I'll let you continue, Scott. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. And sorry, it was just frustratingly when I saw the tweet, it came up. I saw it on Sky Sports News. Rival fans being rival fans, any opportunities to dig at each other, and even in today, I saw rival fans using that as a hammer with Arsenal. Oh, you've lost one of your own, so now you no. This was done well before the news that have come today. But it's that natural reaction of people. There's a lot of people that just assume the worst. We're guilty, and I say we because no one's perfect, but it's very natural to assume the worst. And straight away, even in these really sad times, on a day that's essentially it's rocked a fan base. You know, as my Twitter feed, and the same as all of you guys, most likely, Claude has been trending all day, and it's been topic, and it likely will be for a while. It's rocked a fan base, and yet there are still people that will use that and try and find ways to find a negative when, as Arsenal, and I'm sure other clubs will follow suit, are saying they want to do something, but they need the help. They need the help from social media. They can't do it on their own.
Yeah.
But as well, so I just wanted to say that we need to be individually responsible and accountable for the things that we say. And when you look at some of the abuse Claude got, I mean, I don't know if any of you watched his streams, but there was one particularly a few months ago where he did really speak about the abuse, and he used to get phone calls. He had to switch his number. Basically people saying that they'd wish it gone, and as you said that, like, remember, look at his tweets. He said that he felt like basically that it's like the abuse he got made him feel like people would be happy if he wasn't here. And I just wish that we had done better to really ingrain it into like the community and obviously himself that was absolutely not the case, and that should never ever be the case with anyone anywhere. Basically, it's
education. We can't. There's people older than us that we're never going to be able to change their attitude, but the youngsters, we've got to educate.
Yeah, I mean, education is massive. But I wanted to go to Gunnar since 96. Sorry, I've forgotten your name already. But what's your thoughts?
That's all right, no worries.
About all of this.
I can only echo what the boys have said. It is a very, very strange day. And when people pass away, people you don't usually know, or famous figures, it's always a little bit of a shock. The instant reaction is shock. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Oh, that's a shame. But there are a few people in the world who pass away. It's a little bit more than just shock. It's disbelief. It's it really does hit the nerve. Now I don't know whether it was because I had to wake up at 6 a.m. this morning, or I hadn't had my coffee or my. But the moment that I realized, the moment that I found out that Claude had passed away, it did hit that nerve. It was a moment of wow. I mean, this shouldn't be affecting me the way it is. Why am I feeling like this? I, for one, haven't met Claude before. I've met some of the AFTV boys. I've been on the channel once before. In fact, even yesterday when I was at the Emirates, I saw Robbie was recording a video with James. The gang were there, and I think after a few hours after that, they would have found out the news about Claude. But this is more than just about knowing someone personally, or whether you had a chat with them or whether you didn't. This is someone who pioneered the way for individuals like us who are, who, let's not get the wrong end of the stick. We are trying to effectively get to that level. We are individuals with ambition who want to grow channels, who want to have an audience to talk to about the one thing that we're passionate about, which is Arsenal. So you have to really tip your hats to people like Claude, people like Robbie, people like Ty, people like Troops, people like DT. Doesn't matter what you think about them. I mean, there's, once upon a time I was obsessed with AFTV, and that love has distanced itself as time has gone by. But you cannot take away the blood, sweat, and tears that these boys have put into the community now that we see ourselves in. And I genuinely believe that these guys are responsible for Arsenal Football Club fan base growing globally. This is a completely new domain, a completely new side to fanism, Claude himself with his iconic, and sayings. But one of the things that I loved about Claude more than anything is how innocent and how pure he was as a human being. You could genuinely tell that this guy didn't have an agenda against anyone or against any aspect of the club. He wanted the best for Arsenal Football Club, and if we weren't winning games, you could tell he was down, he was beaten up. And I think that's why we are so hurt, because we have lost one of our own. We have lost someone who represented Arsenal Football Club and who stood at the forefront of representing what it means to be an Arsenal fan. I guess talking now, I guess I can come to the conclusion as to why I feel so upset is because he was a genuine Arsenal fan. He was an Arsenal man through and through. And I don't want to talk about the reasons behind his passing or what led to it happening. I think now is a time of reflecting what this man has done, and I think they say that you don't know what you lose until it's gone, and I don't think we quite appreciated to what extent this man has brought fanism into the current world that it is. I don't think we'd be sitting here right now having a conversation had it not been for these individuals, Claude being one of them. And I don't know, I'm a bit lost for words at the minute. I'm a bit perplexed. I'm a bit numb at the minute, and it's going to take a few days to process. And I think was it a couple months ago when Heavy D passed away? I felt a little bit of what I'm feeling today, but it was just one of those things where I was expecting in a million years, because the guy himself, despite going through the issues that he was going through, despite the personal problems, he was still in front of the cameras. He was still at every single game, and he was dedicating his life to Arsenal Football Club. And if we can get anywhere near to the type of fan that he was, and it's just swaying towards a different debate and topic about what it is to be a fan, etc. But if we can dedicate ourselves to the extent that he did, even 10% of it, I think we can be proud of ourselves, and we can be proud to call ourselves fans. But he's going to be missed. He's going to be missed at Arsenal, and not just Arsenal. He's going to be missed in football, because the amount of people that have been coming out from different clubs, different celebrities from different industries who have been paying tribute, it's very heartwarming to see. And I'm very glad that Arsenal put out a tweet for him as well, and I'm hoping that on the weekend we will get that minutes of silence that we're asking for.
Yeah, I'd just say that's lovely words, and it's only until sort of this show and talking to you guys that I've been processing. Obviously, I woke up this morning and it was just all over Twitter. I mean, I woke up at I think past 11 o'clock. I had a late night last night, and I just woke up and saw it, and I was like, wow. And it's, you know, when a big celebrity, like an icon that was sort of loved by everyone, that no one could really say a nasty thing about, that's sort of the emotion and the feeling I had and saw on Twitter. I mean, I if I look on Twitter, it's absolutely everywhere, and not just Arsenal fans, but United. Everyone is feeling that raw emotion. And no, I mean, I've been in that negative place, but I wasn't getting hate at that time, and I can only imagine the thoughts and the feelings that must have brought, which is mad. Obviously, I think everyone has sort of echoed the bits where be nice and all of that, but it's gonna take more than a 3-word slogan. It's gonna take more than a be nice or stop hatred or all of this. Real change needs to happen, and I think it was Erin that said about we need to have a chat about this, and we absolutely do. And I mean, it will be something in a week or 2 or 3 that you sort of you get that sort of sense, and you let the news sort of settle and the emotions sort of settle, and then an honest chat about it, because we see it not just to people who make content, but we see it to footballers, we see it to players, we see it to everyone, and it's about what we do. A couple of comments before we continue. Matt saying he was a normal guy who loved football, even as a rival fan, you could love him. That's very true. James saying lovely words. Dylan, R.I.P. Claude, a legend of football YouTube. We will never forget him. Claude was like the father of football YouTube, and he was. It was sort of like that thing of you could just sense that he was the father, and sort of everyone sort of looked up to him and admired him, and we didn't say enough, sort of. And it's the same with everyone. You think about Caroline Flack and all these times, people haven't said enough. I think it was Scott that said about we're all big to say it when they pass, but we don't say it when they're alive, and that could change it. I mean, could you imagine if even a quarter of what was put on Twitter or said today was said to someone's face? Like that's huge, and I just it is a bit of shock. But Erin, you want to say something?
I just want to say, and I don't mean this to in attempts of controversy, but if we want to have a serious conversation, it's going to have to be uncomfortable, because there is nothing comfortable about really delving into this kind of topic. And because, as I said, what happened to Claude, the struggles he faced and the abuse, it represents so much more than him. But I'm really upset. As the thing is, I personally am not guilty of it, but we are all within one sphere, so it is kind of our responsibility, in a sense that when it was unpopular, because it was at one point unpopular to support Claude and show him that love, where was what we saw today? Where was it? At a time where probably he needed it the most, where he was being vehemently demonized, people telling him he did not belong in the space where he helped to create. Where were we? And I wish at that point we had all, including myself, probably done a little bit more to make him understand that he didn't just belong in this sphere. He helped draw it. And I do think that we do learn in terms of the next time, because there will be another Claude in terms of this situation, because there's millions of these situations. And then if it does land on our doorstep, that we collectively try and come together to make sure that these struggles and these, this abuse doesn't happen again to this degree, because we're only going to be having this same discussion again, maybe in a few months, maybe in a few years. But I don't think any of us, or just nobody in the world, wants that to happen, really.
I think I just wanted to add on to what you said there, and I think one of the biggest issues is not calling it out earlier on, because it's not cool. It's not cool to call someone out for doing something that they shouldn't be doing, or saying something that they shouldn't be doing. And I think it's equally important to ask yourself every single day why it is you're doing what you're doing. What is the ulterior? What is the motive? Because I'll tell you something. The moment I decided to come onto this platform, the moment I had to bite my tongue and tell myself, no matter what happens on this journey, you will never, ever, ever call anyone out. And you will never, ever, ever upset anyone by saying anything that is going to possibly, cause emotional change. At the end of the day, we're here as commentators for Arsenal Football Club and for football. There shouldn't be a conversation like this. We shouldn't be sitting here talking about this. This isn't the space for it. And I've spoken about this before, when the racial abuse was happening in and around Arsenal, in and around football. This shouldn't be the space where we give individuals the free entrance to come in and to spout hatred. Because at the end of the day, if you strip it back to what it is, we're watching 22 men kick a ball on a field, and we're here to talk about it. That's as far as it goes.
Do you know what the problem was, Farhan? Is that the fact was, and I genuinely hate to even bring it up, but when Claude was receiving that abuse, it was cool to be on that side. It was actually less cool to be his supporter in that sense, because of what people construed what he represented, which is absolutely, I can't even describe how disgusting that is, to represent Claude in that way, and then make it popularized to really not be a fan of his. And that is the problem. It's not even abuse in the sense that, like, it was the fact that you were simply like represented in a terrible way if you kind of like aligned with him.
Look, I think, and this is a bit of a realization moment. The penny's kind of dropped right now for me, where there are individuals in the community who I can't stand, and I'm going to mention a name, stream name. I don't think it'll be a problem. Lee Gunner is someone who I can't stand, because I think the way that he represents certain things about the club and about people can be done in a different way. But thinking now to myself, if somebody was giving a hatred to him and it happens, am I do I have it within myself to defend him and to call people out who are trying to humiliate him, to possibly take him towards that direction of a mental health? And
the thing is with that, Farhan.
Yeah, go on, mate.
Sorry, mate, go on.
And I'll just say, I can't sit here and be honest with myself and say, you know what, I am confident enough to say I would call that out. Where the problem lies. Because
ultimately, as humans, and as disgusting as it is that a lot of us do act. And as I said this morning on Twitter, the fact that we basically, a lot of people here are lying about the moral codes that they pretend to adopt, when essentially they actually work against it. And that's what I'm saying. The fact is, we actually need to start acting in the interest of what we're doing, rather than ourselves, or even having people think that we're something which we're not, or aligning ourselves with people when there's a massive division between sets of fans. And it is something we have to talk about, because at the end of the day, we will literally get nowhere unless we do start challenging that that factor of this whole situation.
Mm.
No, you're right, Aaron. Like, it's just, I came on this platform because obviously I wanted to air my views on Arsenal. You know, people who know me, I'm not one to stay silent when things happen, but, you know, even sometimes I don't want to call things out before I've seen the full story. And it's sad because obviously I hate this world of like, you've got to have the popular opinion, otherwise you're part of the people who are going to get cancelled. And it's just, it's sad, man. It's sad. But it's like not enough people come out together. And this is the problem. It's like you need a united front. You know, like people can't do it on their own. And it's like, and that's the sad thing. You know, that's why, you know, it's, and I get what you're saying there, but it's like, I get it because like people are going to see this abuse and go, all right, if I defend him and I get that, can I handle it? Probably not. And that's
where we need to be better at upholding the values that we say that we do.
Yeah.
And we need to stop thinking along those lines, and we really do need to go and help people when they need to be helped.
I think it's and this community that we've built, you bet your ass there's going to be an uncomfortable discussion about this. They already know that. They know what this community that we're building is about. I mean, we had one on Sunday. It's not comfortable talking about anti-discrimination. It's not comfortable talking about mental health, but you can sure as hell bet that we're going to be discussing it. You don't have to watch it if it's too hard. You don't have to watch it. I mean, the title alone is going to give it away if it's going to be a hard topic to listen to, but it needs to happen. And that won't be something that happens for this week or even next week, but it will happen. And this community, they know that will happen. I mean, Sulz can tell you as much as I, that this community that we're building, they know that uncomfortable discussions will happen. And it's about what we do as a collective. And we've got to call out, hey, we have to. I mean, the way I describe it is, let's say an Exeter City fan, right, decided to do a fan cam, right, or a channel like myself, but it's Exeter dedicated, right? If us being huge rivals, if I went on there and saw them getting hate, nah, mate, that ain't happening. Because at the end of the day, there is more to life than football. Yes, we all support different teams. Yes, we all have different passions around football. In terms of, my passion is Argyle, your guys' passion is Arsenal. But there's more to life than just football. There is, and you have to be strong. And look, people can give me as much hate as they want. I frankly, I'm a tough lad. I can take it. I frankly couldn't give a shit, because at the end of the day, I think Sonny is a prime example. He rebranded his YouTube and he got a shit ton of hate. Now he can handle it because he just doesn't read it. He doesn't let him affect him. But we have to realize that words have consequences, right? Every word that comes out of your mouth has a potential consequence. And people really have to start thinking before they speak. I mean, I was tweeting something earlier, and I was unsure if I worded it correctly. So I sent it to Sulz, and I was like, have I said this in the right way? Because at the end of the day, everyone can be guilty. No one is perfect, but it's about wording it in the right way. It's about expressing yourself in the right way. And if you're unsure, get someone you're close to check it. That's not a problem. Like,
you know,
they're not that problem. But the endless hate that people get is ridiculous. I mean, Billy saying here, evening guys, devastating news. Thanks for doing this tribute to an iconic figure in the YouTube world, and he was. I mean, there's others. You've obviously got AFTV, you've got Mark Goldbridge. I mean, this channel is an inspiration of the Terrace, the football Terrace, and what they do, and that's the thing. These people have spent years of their lives building what we have. I mean, at the end of the day, if someone's going through this, they need protection. Sometimes you need to sort of get involved. Obviously, James saying stop online abuse, change must be made, and It's true.
I think. Sorry, go on.
Even not online. Even not online. Like, not even online abuse. If you have the balls to say it to someone's face, you're just horrible. Like, giving people abuse is just a horrible thing. It needs to stop. That's what I'll say.
I just wanted to say it's also just as much as about listening and not even just speaking about it, because I mean, people, well, Claude, as specifically, look at the stuff he was saying on social media about the abuse, about the effect it was having on him or could have on him, and he told us. If you actually look at other cases as such in more of the gaming sphere, I don't know if any of you know a streamer called Etika, but that was a tragic situation, and he told us what could happen or the effect online abuse was having on him. And we actually need to start listening and speaking, because it's when you reflect on it now, it becomes so clear. Somebody was actively telling thousands of people what was happening, and we need to actually listen. Like, I don't know if it was out of naivety or neglect, but it's just, I think we do need to start listening a lot more. And then, like, if somebody says, this about online abuse or the effect it's having on them, then we just need to take it completely at face value and really start to then speak about it after we've really understood it.
I think a lot of people, you always see it, don't you? My DMs are always open. You can talk to me. Now, I don't know how many have been in the situation where you are that low. I mean, I have. You don't reach out. You don't want to reach out. You don't know.
Well, can I ask? Is it a normal human emotion for you to open up to essentially a stranger? Now, you have Samaritans, you have, a lot of people find it hard to go to their GP to tell them about a small ailment they have. I've got family members like that who, I'm not going to doctor. They don't feel comfortable talking to a GP. And that is the thing. You're right what you're saying about DMs being open. If I'm feeling really low, it's not human. It's not nature of me. And I'm obviously not the only one to reach out to a complete stranger and say, hello, I don't know if you're working. I don't know if you've got 3 kids. I don't know anything about you and your life, but please, can you give me time to express my problems? And the DMs open is the gesture is coming from the right place. That is from the right place. But I don't think there's many people that will take up that, because you're not talking. Also, you've got to remember as well, you are talking to a complete stranger. You've got Samaritans, you have got other numbers. I know most people in their workplace have dedicated numbers. These are people who are trained to speak to people with mental health, or they've at least done something. Now, I recognize that talking to someone is better than nobody, absolutely. But perhaps I don't know how you can educate people to feel I don't think you ever will. People are never going to be comfortable talking to strangers about their problems.
I think it's the way it happened was me. Someone reached out to me. Now, if you're that low, you ain't reaching out to no one. Like that. That's coming from when you've been in that space and that your head is like that. You ain't going to message someone because you don't want to take up their time. You have that feeling of you're not important enough to take up their time. Now, someone reached out to me when I was in that situation, and I was able to talk to them, because you're instantly like, well, they've reached out to me. They must want to help me. Now, I think we need to change that message to my DM's always open to, if I see that you're in this situation, I'm going to reach out to you. We need to change it from them reaching out to a complete stranger or to someone that they don't know to that person reaching out to them. And
you don't even,
that's what we've got to do.
You don't even need to have a discussion necessarily about their mental health, because I actually think one harmful thing you could do is act as if in the position of giving advice to somebody who is suffering from mental illness, when in fact you could be saying the completely wrong thing in terms of the advice or you know, even if it's not directed to us, the things you're saying. But even if it was just to say, talk about the game, let's say football sense, talk about the Arsenal game, talk about, you know, show them that they're not alone in this, you know, this world. Even you don't necessarily even need to message them and say, "Oh, is your mental health okay?" You could say, you know, did you watch the Arsenal game, or just something small for for people to engage with, so they don't feel as alone.
And this is what I said earlier about education, that with education, you've got to start young, right? And it works its way through. It's like most people don't smoke now. I know you lit up a minute ago, but ultimately, I don't know many people that smoke. But 15 years ago, I knew most of my mates. Pretty much everybody smoked. So, you know, and my family members, my mum and the her generation say, "Oh, I wish we knew about smoking what we knew." Well, unfortunately, you didn't, and now you do know. Education does work. It takes time. Social media is still, and I know it doesn't feel like it, but it's still a baby. It's still in an infancy. In the grand scheme of things, social media is still very, very young. And as the human race, as I mentioned earlier, we've got to learn how it makes us more connected than ever, but also we're more distant than ever. Because as you said, reaching out to people, it's not normal.
I will say, from an academic perspective, because we spoke about this now. Do you remember on the social media stream about some of the research I've done into social media and contemporary history is basically social media and the effects of social media mentally, and a lot of that realm is yet to be discovered, obviously, because it is a modern phenomenon. You're not going to understand the effects. We do understand some of them. We understand what it can contribute to, what it doesn't. Does it make people feel more alone, actually more interconnected socially? But in terms of more longer term effects, and as you do in history, you discover more as you get more in depth. As you said, it is very young, and we still need to. We won't know for a while the full scale effects of what social media does or how it affects people's mental health in the entirety, that, you know, compared to what we do now. So it is really young, and hopefully, as we can provide more education, that it does get implemented. But obviously that's another discussion entirely, because you have to rely on education to actually implement that information, and whether or not it will is a different story.
I think it all comes at some stage. I mean, Twitter, when I was a teenager, Twitter had just become a thing, like just being even created. No one really knew about it. I think the biggest social network we had when I was a teenager was, do you remember Bebo?
I'm glad you said that, because I'm sitting here feeling old, thinking of MSN and Bebo and MySpace.
MySpace,
God, I hope someone remembers
I had
this.
MSN,
MySpace, Bebo. Sort of these were the big ones. They were like the Twitters that we see today, and Twitter wasn't even really much of a thing until.
But really, I mean, I was still too young as well. You look a bit younger than me, so you would probably been even younger. But I don't remember there being the hatred and abuse. I just didn't. I was even on MSN. You only spoke with the people you wanted to speak with an open source environment. You've got no control. I mean, I've on my Twitter account now. I'm trying to promote my channel naturally, as we all are, and so I'm getting more and more people come onto my newsfeed. And someone can be an Arsenal fan, and I'll go, he looks pretty cool, I'll follow him, and it could be any of you guys. And then the next day, you retweet something that I really don't want to see. And it could be something you retweet, like some people retweet, as you know, weird stuff, but it could be like, I've seen people retweet like disgusting things, like people having limbs coming off and all sorts of stuff. And I think, oh, mate, I don't want to see that. But I can't stop you showing me that. I've got no control over that. So that's where Twitter is a little bit different to Facebook. Facebook, you've got, you are friends with these people. You've got, a bit, you invite them into your life and vice versa. So it's probably not quite as bad, but Twitter, in the primarily what Twitter is it just opens you up to anything. Absolutely.
You can even get what, let's say I retweet something. You can even see that. Like
that's what I mean, and that's the retweet that I see. Yeah.
You don't even have to be sort of following this guy, and you get that. And I think someone retweeted Shaw breaking his leg. I was like, I frankly don't want to see that. Right? Nah. That is horrific. Please don't ever do that. So I blocked him straight away. I was like, nah. There are some.
But what if you was a 7-year-old kid? If
Oh,
you're a
that's horrific.
7-year-old or 10-year-old kid and you've just seen that, you can't forget that. I still remember leg breaks I saw as a kid. I can't forget them.
Yeah, like I can picture the picture that I saw anyway. Luckily, I only saw it for about 2 seconds before I was like, "No, scroll out quickly. I don't want to see that." And that's the thing. Like, there will become a stage where social media. I think it was you, Scott, that said in 20 years' time they'll be like, "Do you remember where you could create a Twitter and just you didn't even need any ID?" Like that they're gonna look at our generation and go, "Jesus Christ, what
That
sort
must
of
have been
hell on earth
brutal.
were they?" Yeah, sort of
I
like
will be honest though, because I remember Niall, we spoke about this in depth, and I gave my reasons. I am personally do not want identification on social media, and I did give very
no.
valid reasons in that discussion
Yeah.
for why I would not want to
There
see
needs
that implemented
there
into
does
wider
need
society.
to be something. There needs to be somewhat of control on
Because
social
no,
media.
it's
Whether it be an
also
algorithm or something.
they have an
Maybe
algorithm. It's
yeah,
poor.
but maybe not ID like that. That's one tiny thing that we could not tiny, but you know what I mean. That's one idea. You could improve the algorithm, and with time they will, because with time comes experience. There's things that I did back when I was 15 that I wouldn't dream of doing now. That's because I've got 10 years extra experience in life that I understand that experience brings that valuable life lesson and brings that sort of learning stage where in 10 years time Twitter will have more control. They will have that algorithm. They better have it sorted, because if I don't think many more people can be going through this for the next 10 years. It would be horrific.
What the issue is, and when you mention the copyright discussion, it's because the companies who have that copyright are legally holding social media platforms, whether it be YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. They're holding them responsible for allowing that content on, and financially, yeah. So legally, Twitter are viable. Apart from the massive, and it was an unprecedented case of governments holding social media sites accountable with the Cambridge Analytica case and Facebook. That is the only time where governments have really held a social media site accountable. In terms of online abuse, whether it be actually the sexual violence online, whether it be your different abuses, so Twitter, they're not held accountable because they are actually private platforms acting completely within their rights. And that's where it needs to change. That relationship and that dynamic has to change. And
that's only ever going to change with Twitter. We're using Twitter as we're focusing on Twitter here because it is the worst ultimately. But Twitter will only ever change when it hits them in their pocket. If the users are leaving, if the engagement comes down, they look at that and go, why is it? Why is our platform not as good as it was 2 years ago? They know the problems. They know it, but the investment in, you mentioned the algorithm, artificial intelligence, things like that, that's always improving, and that can be and that can be sped up very quickly. As you said, getting rid of copyright, bang, gone. If your account is flagged up on something and you spin up another account, same IP address, gone. Okay, I'll use a VPN. All right. But the moment you then use an email address that might be linked, gone. eBay was brilliant. eBay have had this now down for years. I had an eBay account when I was younger, and I used to do the whole, when eBay first come about, I'm selling my phone. Dad, do us a favor, Dad, bid it up a bit. We all used to do it. Everyone used to do, they call it shield bidding. I'll bid it up a bit. eBay cottoned onto that overnight, and they're like, mate, you're gone. Account blocked, PayPal blocked, and then you can't get back on. The infrastructure's there, but Twitter don't seem to have the motivation to do it.
Yeah, like let's say now, Niall, you wanted to play a Kanye West song. Within a minute, Def Jam, the algorithm would detect that, and this stream would probably be locked off.
Yeah.
But they don't have that for abuse.
Do you know
because
what
it simply doesn't. There is no incentive to. And also, I just wanted to say, I think people actually, in a weird sense, do love the fact of the freedom of that, and they love social media because of that. And Twitter kind of know that, so therefore, it would be completely against their own interest to do that. Yeah,
if they outlaw it, the Twitter will die overnight, because we all live in a reality of we want to be bigger and stronger and taller and fitter and sexier and slimmer. We all want to be something we're not, right? Everyone's got that in them, unfortunately. And on Twitter, you can hide behind a display picture of anything, and you can pretend to be anybody you want. And if that ego, like you mentioned, is the I want to be able to go on and abuse someone because of the color of their skin or because of their sexual preference, it's a drug. This negativity is you know, you mentioned Farhan mentioned Lee Gunner earlier, and I have similar opinions on him as you. But one thing he has mentioned a few times, and that he is correct about, is the dopamine rush. He's mentioned that, and that is one of the very few things I'll agree with him. People get this dopamine fix of, I've just done you, mate. I've just made you look stupid, or I made you feel bad. That's a trait that even social media can't do anything about. They you know, even if the motivation's there to rule it out, they can't stop people being like that. But what you can do is stop them coming back for a second go.
This is actually related to kind of this notion or idea of the emergence of self-importance on social media. It even comes in forms such as you just posting what you're eating for breakfast, but showing how nice your breakfast is, to kind of show, you know, I've got this nice breakfast, I'm so important. And that people do think that what they have to say, especially on Twitter, because it is more of a discussion forum mixed with, you know, profiles. It's a lot more discussion based than Facebook, if you know what I mean, because it's a platform for views. People do think that what they have to say represents some sort of importance, which it doesn't. And they're forced to like amp it up more and more and more to get their views heard and out there, where if they was to say something less tame or, you know, even a bit more sophisticated, it probably wouldn't be heard. It's a constant escalation of views.
It's an argument. If me and you get upset, you're going to shout at me, so I'm going to shout a bit louder, and you'll get louder, and we'll keep doing it, and then neither of you hear each other. Social media, you get heard because you can't be overspoken, because as soon as you put it there, it's there. And that's so everyone's trying to trump.
It's nothing more than a massive popularity contest.
Absolutely,
that's the way I see it. But I will say, look, I think ultimately we've had a good discussion about this, and I've been listening to everyone, and in my head I can only think of two solutions, two obvious solutions. You respect everyone's opinions, and you call out the abuse when you see it. And the moment everyone's on board, and the moment everyone decides, you know what, fuck it, we have to do this, then we'll see change. Until then, we're going to have these conversations year in, year out. Nothing's going to happen because everyone's going to feel a little bit sorry, feel a little bit sad for a few weeks, maybe a month, and we'll get on with the rest of our lives. But I'm really glad we're having this discussion, because I think, you know, 5 of us being here, at least we know that us 5 are now, after today, will be making those steps forward to bring about that change. It's the most important thing.
Do you know what also needs to change, though? It's this trend of, when we start to look at what gets clicked on, what gets viewed, what gets liked, it's abuse, which is funny, because we all sit here and we talk about why does abuse happen? Simply because that's what gets the attention. If we think about it,
controversy creates cash.
Yeah, because if you think about it, if someone came up to me and started abusing me, what am I going to automatically do? Quote tweet that and say, look at this, what I'm getting. And you give that person attention. That's all they want. They don't give a fuck whether it's a negative attention, whether it's positive. In their eyes, publicity is publicity. That's the mentality that needs to change. I'm not saying we can't call it out, but I think the way we're doing it is clearly fucking wrong. For too many years, right, we're giving these people attention that don't deserve any of it. So maybe when we call it out, we don't tweet their tweet, or nor do we make it recognize that who we're talking about, because the minute they get attention, they thrive off of that. They don't care whether it's positive, negative, because for them, it's attention. It's attention.
We've had that recently, Sulz, haven't we? We've had a platform that I've come off and all of this, but I've not made it apparent which platform it is. No one apart from the inner circle that I'm in that need to know will know, right? That's as clear. But I think the legacy for Claude, if we can somewhat get change, it doesn't help Claude, but it can potentially help others. And that's what we've got to drive for. Because today, Arsenal fan base have lost a huge part of them, right? That's clear, right? That is, Claude was not only a football fan, he was a part of a huge family. The Arsenal fan base is a family. I mean, You're a weird and unique family, I'll put it that way, but you are a family. You all love the same thing. You all want the same thing to do well, right? It's the same with any football club. A football club, the way I describe a football club is a weird dysfunctional family, right? That is how a football club is. I mean, Argyle are a weird and dysfunctional family, the same with anyone, right? But we need to make sure that we do the right things and we learn from
Now you've hit it on the head. I don't get it, because at the end of the day, what unites us is football. Forget about Arsenal for a second and forget about just Arsenal family, right? We're all football fans. Yeah. What brought us together is football at the end of the day, because I have people who aren't Arsenal fans who follow me and I follow them. I don't just watch Arsenal content. I watch football content. You know, that's why did I come onto this platform? Not just to make Arsenal content, but to connect with other fans, connect with like-minded people. Why is it that, you know, us as content creators, and I'm not going to say every single content creator gets on with every other one and never sends abuse to the other way, but majority of the time, right, we all get on. Like, I'm going to speak to Aaron. Me and him have like basically bipolar views of what we want to do.
Yeah, I was about
Arsenal.
to mention this as well. Yeah.
Yeah, like, but me and him speak. We've got each other's numbers. We speak all the time. You know, we have our little arguments and stuff. But at the end of the day, do we still respect? Like, not even respect. Are we like family to each other? Yeah, 100%. If he had a problem, I'm coming to him. You know, and I'm gonna be there for him, regardless of our views and everything. Which is what the problem is. It's not the content. I think what the problem is, right, is when you allow too many people on where there's no consequences for their action. You know, for us, for example, if I did something, I know what can happen. My future potentially in where I want to be as a football content creator could be gone. I know the risks are high if I do something stupid. But you know, someone like that just follows you on Twitter, like an ordinary person, they've got nothing to really lose, because what they have is a picture of, I don't know, Arteta, Aubameyang, right, like someone, right, like a footballer or a celebrity. They've got nothing to lose, because number one, we don't know who the hell that person is. Number two, Twitter might have an idea, but they don't really ask anything that's going to give away who they are. Are they going to lose their jobs over it? No. Are they going to lose their livelihoods at the end? Probably not.
Sorry to interrupt there, mate. Just on what you said there about people losing their jobs and stuff like that. This is where, and I know you guys have already had the discussion, and you mentioned earlier about you would be against ID and stuff like that. And I get that, and I could probably have a long conversation with you about the pros and cons on that as well. But that's the thing. I know people that have lost their jobs because of social media posts. My partner, she works in a very high security role, and anything she puts out on social media, she double, triple, quadruple checks, because she says, if I say something that one person could take slightly wrong, whether it be a joke, I mean, even things that I've actually gone to put on her Facebook, and she'll go, don't put that on there. And I'll be like, why? She went, well, it could be. And I'm like, babe, it's just a dog. It could be something completely irrelevant to me, but she has to really, really think deep, because she could potentially affect her job or her position, because I've just simply put it on her timeline. And if we can get to a point whereby, however it's done, that there, as you said, Sulz, about people don't have nothing to lose. Yes, you have got something to lose. If you're 15 years old or 14 years old and you're in school and you say something that is inappropriate and you've been educated, that should be somehow or another. There needs to be a way for that to then be fed back to that child, because they are a child at school by their parents, to educate them that that's wrong.
No,
and obviously, as you become adults,
it's not about people who have actually put themselves out as themselves. It's more about people who have hidden themselves on these.
Yeah, but platforms. With ID, you can't do that. If social media knows who that is related to.
My point is, right now, I'm sorry, I know in the future that's something which we need to be doing.
Yeah.
But what my point is, currently, those kinds of people who are predominantly sending that hate, or I'm not saying predominantly, there's probably people who have actually physically put their faces on and still send hate. But what my point is that the people who are like sort of anonymous, or people who aren't very known, are the ones who are doing this, because they've gotten that there's no sort of like for example, with any one of us, if say for example we went onto Twitter, wherever, Instagram, Facebook, and we put something that's questionable, even let's not even say we actually do go and actually put something absolutely just a questionable thing, we're risking our future as content creators. We know that's why we
Yeah.
double check, triple check. That's why we don't emotionally tweet out. Like, we don't do it in the heat of the moment. But problem with people that are probably hidden their faces or don't even have a picture, forget about having a celebrity. They know that if they tweeted, I don't know, the N-word at someone or monkey emojis, bananas, or even calling, slandering someone for being homosexual or whatever, that they have nothing to lose. That's why they do it. They're like, oh, actually, I may get a few likes.
Because they'll spin up another account. The thing, you guys have probably seen it, and I don't want to address it too much, but Claude put out a tweet a couple of days ago in response to an abusive message, and that account is gone already. And that's a prime example of someone that has said something that was inappropriate, and they've seen that was wrong, and immediately they're gone. I guarantee we all know that person who sent that tweet. I'm not saying that person's responsible or anything like that. What I'm saying is that person who sent that tweet has known it's wrong because they've deleted their account, and they're already back on Twitter as somebody else because they can. Never be held accountable. Exactly. If there was no laws in life, it'll be anarchy. If we could go outside and say and do as we please, it will be anarchy. There's a reason that rules and laws are in place, and unfortunately, as I think we've really established this evening, is that specifically to Twitter and a lot of social medias, the law, the rules are not enforced well enough.
There is actually there's barely actually any structures of law pertaining to abuses in social media and government structure. It's been
the thing is, we all know that we can go outside and if we kill someone, there's a law against that, right? If we go out and do something bad outside, we know there's a law that stops us. There is not a strong enough law within social media to actually curtail this and to solve the problem. And I think that's something that the government have to absolutely look into. There has to be a law. There has to be something that solves this problem, because we cannot continue to allow this to happen. A couple of comments here. DC saying RIP Claude. Sometimes though, someone might just need to speak to anyone, whoever it may be, and that's sort of like, I think the best way to do that is if you think someone's going through an issue, just send them a message. Hi, I hope you're okay. I'm here if you want to talk to me, because then that shows that you're willing to give your time up, and it's easier for them to actually think, okay, yeah, I can express myself to this person. Because when you're in that situation, you expressing yourself to a complete stranger or asking someone to take up their time to help you is not something that you naturally think of. Manu saying, can't believe this news. Manu fan here, loved the guy's passion. And Sulz, not Sulz, Claude was a very passionate fan. Like, you could tell a loss would hurt him. A win would make him absolutely over the moon, and this guy's passion is shared between everyone who watches football. And
we're cut from the same cloth. We're all the same. Yeah, we're all the same.
I mean, my passion to my club is unreal, and Claude's passion to Arsenal was on another level as well. And
he was much more of a fan than I will ever be, and I'll proudly admit that. Because I'll be honest, not everyone is a fan in the same way, but the passion he showed, the dedication, home, and he is much more of a fan than I will ever be.
I call them super fans for a reason, right?
Yeah, and I would admit that, because I'd be lying here if I sat here and said that I am as much of a fan in that sense. I love Arsenal, of course, but what he represented was a different level to what most of us were on.
Everyone can be a fan in their own way. Like, you don't.
We should
look. Everyone has that way of supporting their club, right? So I've been seeing it on Twitter that apparently you're only a fan if you go to the stadium. Bullshit, right? Because none of us have been there for the past year, so that now means that none of us support a football club. Right? If we're gonna use that as so you have to go to every single game, home and away, or you're not a fan. Well, no, because no one's done that all season, so therefore no one is a fan. Everyone can support their club in their own way, and that makes them no less of a fan than someone else. Just because they're more into it, more doing something bigger, that maybe have a big following, or they do something that makes you no less of a fan than if you just go to home games, or if you just watch it on the telly. Because at the end of the day, you still want that club to succeed. You still want them to win matches, and that is the be all and end all about football. And I think what we need to do is we need to learn from what's happened. We need to obviously the powers that be, the government, social media, something needs to come together, and I don't know what it will take for that discussion between Parliament and social media. I don't know if it's going to take a family suing Twitter for allowing the hate, or actually just putting in a criminal case against Twitter. That is a family member that's received the abuse and has gone, that is going to make it work. I don't know what it will be, but at some point we need to get to that stage where that conversation's held, and we can only do so much. We can start the conversation, and our community can then take that conversation forward. But at the end of the day, I'm Niall, I'm from Plymouth. Niall from Plymouth alone cannot change sort of this issue. The man in number 10, Boris Johnson, has much more power and can sort of get the change that we need. But it's up to the government to be brave enough, because it's not gonna be popular. Let's put it this way: it's not gonna be a popular move when they do that. But at the end of the day, the government's there to make unpopular decisions. They've been doing it for years. I can't think of a popular government decision that I can think of. So why not get them to do that? And that's what we need to do, because each and one of us can have that individual conversation, can try and enact change, but nothing is going to happen until the government and social media have this out.
I just wanted to quickly say, just because I have to shoot off, I just wanted to say thank you all for obviously coming and doing this discussion, and thank you for now for inviting me back again. I think it was an important discussion to have, and I've never done a show with you, Scott, and it was really good to talk to you, to be fair. So
yeah, you too,
I hope I get to beat you again soon. But in regards to Claude, I can only just really say I hope we will take a moment to reflect and remember him in the right way, and really give him the respect that he deserves as to why we even have these platforms, why they're accepted, and why, you know, the average fan, because that's what we are, you know, we're just all just normal people, normal fans, get to have this massive voice. Even if there's 10 people in your stream, for example, the fact that you can even get 10 people to listen to you, to actually value your opinion is incredible. And that's why, like, I just think what they did was incredible, and Claude was he was an integral part of that. And so thank you, Claude. You're going to be missed by everyone, and I just hope his family are allowed to grieve, and they're not going to be subject to any, you know, abuse, and anyone abusing obviously the people around Claude, AFTV, etc. You need to stop doing that. So thank you guys, and yeah, I'll see you guys hopefully next week for the next show. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers for coming on, more. Yeah, I think talking football today is just quite the last thing everyone wants to talk about and to do. Charlie saying RIP Claude, absolutely. He will be missed. I think what we've done today, and I said it at the start, and I know there's a diss side to this already. To be frankly honest, I couldn't care. This is a moment where the footballing community has sort of come together, and they're mourning a huge loss to not just Arsenal, but to football, the especially YouTube and all of that. And if you didn't like this, or you were expecting us to talk about Arteta or Arsenal or whatever,
there's time for that. We've got 24 hours a day. We've got many days where we can talk about things that are easy to talk about, things that, you know, I wish we talked about Claude sooner. Because that's on everybody. I think that if anybody can learn anything from today's news, is as I highlighted earlier, and we've all mentioned, is that, you don't know what tomorrow brings. You've got no guarantees if you're going to be here tomorrow, or the people you love or the people you don't love are going to be here tomorrow. But just make the most of the time you've got and ask yourself, what do you really get out of being nasty to people? And let's make it our going forward. Let's not just think about ourselves. As you said earlier, I don't remember who mentioned it, but it's been mentioned a few times. Let's call it out when we see it. Let's educate the youngsters. I've got a young nephew. I don't have kids at the moment. We'll see what happens. That might change in a few years. It'll be my duty as a parent to take what I've learned to then feed that down to my children, to what I expect of them, what is right, what is wrong, and don't rely on somebody else. Don't rely on teachers. Don't rely on it. Make it our duty. And even with your friends, that's the most difficult one. If you've got friends where you go, it's a bit, I don't know about that. They're the most difficult conversations. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to fall out with your friends. Doesn't mean you have to just, don't be scared. Just say to your friend, I'm sorry, you don't do it in a WhatsApp group. Don't do it in a Facebook group. Pull them aside and just say, mate, really? Was that meme appropriate at the moment? Was that, and just look after each other. What is it Jerry Springer used to say at the end of his shows? Be kind, look after each other.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is true, and you said that we there'll be plenty of times to talk football, but today for the normal Arsenal show, we had a plan. It was already done way before today, but we as content creators react to big things, and we tame our
me and Niall spoke all day about whether we should. At the beginning I was like, what, maybe we should just on. But as the day went on, it just, it kind of just like takes not a toll, but it's just a matter of like, it does make you think again about just life, the year just over the year we've had in lockdown and mentalities, and the problem is, right? Like for the past sort of few weeks, I've been calling this stuff out and I've been saying it to people that there's just too much of this going on. I've questioned whether I want to be on Twitter anymore, but I know if I want to be a content creator, I have to do it. And it's sad that this is something I've always been passionate to do, and you're questioning whether this is the way you want to do it. And I know nothing in life is easy, and I know you have to battle your battles, but it's just so sad that when we're on a platform, we no longer want to interact with people. And it actually is. I've always said this is the closest we've ever been, but the furthest we want to be. And and that's the saddest thing. Like, I can talk to a footballer like in minutes' notice. I can tweet at them. I can send them a message. But what do people do with that? I can't. You know what? I've always said it. Oh, I wish I could talk to a KSI. Oh, I wish I could talk to someone like that. And now we can. But what do? We drive these people away from the platform. Bigger people are now, like footballers today, are just like, you know what? We're just going to get a social media agency to deal with it because we can't do it. And we're meant to love these people.
Can I ask you for a question? So we're all relatively new. We're all we're all small fish in a big pond at the moment on YouTube. Did you, before setting up your channels and deciding that you want to get into this, did you sit down and have a conversation with yourself? And I did. So I'm asking if you did. And I said to myself, you're going on social media. I've never been one for a camera. I don't go on holiday and I'm not selfie mad. I just get my few photos done and I'm off. And I thought, I'm opening myself up to the world here. So anybody in the world can now see my face who previously couldn't, and I have my voice heard when previously it wasn't. And I said to myself, you do realize, Scott, that whether it be intentional or not, you're going to get hate. You're going to get people who disagree with you, and they are going to hate you. And they may abuse me for my hair. They may abuse me for my scars, anything I've got, my teeth, whatever it might be. It could get really personal. And I had to ask myself, are you okay with that? Like, can you handle that? Is your skin thick enough, right? And I sat there and I thought, yeah, I know it's going to happen. If I become quote unquote famous enough, which I don't think there's a real thing. If I just become known enough, the more you become known, the more positive comments, but obviously the more hate comes with it. And I said, yeah, I think I can handle it. But do you know what it is today? I sat there and I thought, well, I've been doing this like 2 months and I've had a couple of little digs here and there, but nothing too significant, right? And I thought, bloody hell, what's happened. And if I got subjected to what he's been through, I had to sit there and think, do I know? I think I'm thick-skinned. I think I can handle it. But until you're put in that position, until you are getting that, like it was mentioned earlier about phone calls, but perhaps even phone calls and constant DMs and all, you don't know how you're going to react. And it's a real sad thing that as people coming into this and saying, I want to get involved in this, that you have to ask yourself that. And so that was my question. Did you guys have that thought process as well?
Yeah, I mean, I before obviously I did this, I was on the Football Addiction. It was hosted by someone else, and luckily at this precise moment, I've got no hate. I will get hate. That's a guarantee, and I look forward to it when it happens, because they're not going to get the satisfaction that they want, because I'll just ignore them or block them. That's I when you've been through as much as I have in life, and my life. I don't pretend to have the hardest of lives, Jesus, but I've been through enough to know that a couple of comments, if you don't like me, that's cool. But
that's the thing when you say a couple of comments. That's the thing.
Well,
this is what I'm saying. This is where we differ to Claude. It's a couple of hundred of thousand of comments.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, of course. And but I think it's just about it's tough. But when you put yourself out there, you sort of you should expect. You should expect it, but you shouldn't have to.
Yeah. But, you sign the contract. You sign these people that go on Love Island, the people that get used to going Big Brother. I mean, unfortunately, how many sad stories have we heard that have come out of Big Brother over the years, because that was around a long time. When you just put yourself out to the world, you are just saying, well, you could come into my world now, and you do sign that dotted line. The difference is for us at the moment, is that we're not here, we're not getting paid. The channels might grow, people may get paid, people may do well, people may not. But it is, as you said there, it is a shame that you almost assume that hatred's going to be there, when really you don't assume you're going to get hatred when you go to the shops, do you? You go to the supermarket, you just expect to go and get what you need and go.
Do you know, it's what we need. The problem is, right, this is what the platform needs to. I'm not saying that, you know, it's about teaching people who want to come onto the platform that this is going to happen. But I think the conversation with, you know, even with big sort of TV platforms such as your BBC, ITV, Sky Sports, and if they're going to allow, like, you know, regular fans on, or regular people who haven't sort of gone through the traditional route of doing journalism in uni and, you know, doing English and all of this, and really having a live focus on this is what I want to do, because content creation is up for anyone. Like, all you need to do is set up an account, get a camera, whatever, and just talk and basically put content out there. There's not really anything, no qualification needed. You don't need like a GCSEs or anything. So you're not really taught anything that can actually happen, the background to what happens. People only see this. They won't see, you know, the hours upon hours upon hours of planning that we do, the hours upon hours of, like, you know, comments that we read, because we have to, as content creators, as much as we want to ignore things, you have to read comments, because you want to connect with your fan base. You want to bring them the content they want to see from you. I have to do it. You know, I'm glad, like, you know, and I'm lucky that I'm not as big as, you know, some people. And, you know, I know the bigger I get, that's inevitably going to happen. You know, there's already, like, I already get a few snarky comments here and there about, oh, this guy's probably just auditioning to go on AFTV, or this guy's just probably doing what he's doing. This is not actually him. But which is fine. I really, like, for me, I don't really care. Like, I'm one of them. But I feel like
not everybody's like that though, mate. And that's the problem. We're not all the same, are we?
But I do wish, right, and I say this, like, and I know this is the sad thing of what I'm about to say, but I do wish someone sat me down and truly told me that. And I was lucky enough that I already knew people within the industry. Like, I knew, like, you know, I'm not going to name names, but I knew people who do this, like, sort of thing part-time, but they're relatively big. So they made me aware of this. They go, look, you know, you are going to be putting yourself out there. And I had that conversation with someone already doing it, which I was lucky enough, you know, to be in that position. But not everyone is. And that's unfortunately what the untold is. I remember growing up and, my teacher talking to me about, what I wanted to do in life. And I was like, I want to get into IT. I want to become, either into software or consultancy, blah, blah. And they were like, you do realize it's a really stressful job. It's a really sort of, it has got a lot of, suicide rates. And they were making me aware of this, not to put me off, but just to kind of make me aware of like, the mental struggles you can have with these jobs, which I found really good. Like for me to be told that really did put it into perspective. Okay, I know what I'm getting into. But unfortunately, that's the side of social media that doesn't get talked about. And it's about making people aware who will want to come onto the platform that unfortunately, and this is it's like when you walk out, there's a risk you could get stabbed or raped. It's sad, but it's like you tell your kids that be careful. My mum, before I go out, she goes, just stay safe. Because she knows, like, I'm a 22-year-old man that I know fucking everyone where I live. Like every street corner, I'll know someone. But unfortunately, even then, my mum's still having to tell me, just be aware of what you're doing. Make sure you locked your car. Make sure that, you're not walking in dodgy areas. And she's still telling me to this day.
Yeah.
So it's sad that we have to do it, but you have to do it. That's the problem.
Yeah. That's unfortunately life the way it is. But Gunnar, did you want to add something before we do end it?
It's a great question. It really is. And this isn't I've got a very long history on the internet. I started making YouTube videos 6 years ago. I had my own personal channel. I had a podcast before this, and one of the biggest struggles that I was facing, not necessarily the interaction I was getting with other people, but it was the inner conflict within myself. And I had to be very, very honest with myself about what I wanted to gain from channels, gain from podcast shows. Very early on, when I started, when I was about 16, 17, I said to myself that I didn't want to profit off of YouTube. I didn't want to care about subscribers and views, but then later I was comparing my channel to others. I was getting really frustrated at what I'm doing. And so I think I'm quite lucky in the sense that I've got the experience and I've got the know-how to beat myself and to really find out what I want. And I wouldn't have started this Arsenal channel if that wasn't the case. And the whole reason why I started the Arsenal channel was to genuinely talk about Arsenal and to connect fans. And most of you guys don't know me, but I'm a very introverted person. I have I can count my friends with a couple of fingers, and I choose to live my life like that because I'm not the type of person who like to go out and like to have a big, a friend group. That's just the person I am. So, making that decision was tough because I needed to consider my mental health. And I almost get a little bit touchy talking about mental health because I am that person who will be forefront to say, well, I am stable, guys. Nothing will affect me. I am so sure of myself. And Scott made an excellent point there. You really don't think about it enough. You don't put yourself in the other person's shoes and try and imagine being there and try and imagine facing that abuse. And I'm at a stage now where I can say it. I'm a very okay, maybe not very, but I have my own insecurities, and I know that I can't. I'm not able to cope with certain things, and so I always make the prayer to God all the time that if it is that I have to face this level of criticism, and if it is the case that if I make it, quote unquote, make it, and I change as a person, don't get me to that level. I don't want it and I don't need it, because being here with you guys, having this conversation is the essence of why we do what we do. It's to talk with like-minded people, it's to meet new individuals and discuss things that make us happy in life. And yeah, that's where I stand with content creators and what we should be striving for as individuals on this platform.
Can I just make, I know we're probably wrapping it up now, just quickly before we do. I had a thought earlier while we were talking about something, and that was that what I would like to see, and I don't know if this exists, so you guys might tell me, Scott, you'd be an idiot here, that's already there. But have you noticed now that you go on any gambling website, you go on any app, and the Be Gamble Aware is just there? That is in your face. I mean, I'm not a gambler, right? But I know of it because it's on TV all the time. Be Gamble Aware. there is driving force behind that to help, because gambling does ruin lives if it gets out of control. And there's the other slogan, what was it, when the fun stops, or whatever it is. There's a lot of this, and I know gambling that's destroyed. I know a few people have had their lives destroyed by gambling. Is it possible, with the campaign that Arsenal have done and other clubs and the community as a whole, can the government get involved, or can we drive them in a position whereby it's mandatory to have these adverts, which is a social media? We see on the COVID things that pop up all the time, the latest stay home, sorry, I forget the slogan because it changes all the time, but we see those messages. If you listen to TalkSport or any other radio station, they come out and you hear them. Can the government or anybody have something campaign that is just persistent, and it is there all the time? It doesn't go away. Constantly in the TV, when you log into your YouTube account, every now and then, maybe YouTube needs to on Twitter purposely make you log out. Like, it makes you it logs you out. You go to log back in, and before you can log back in, it's there in your face. If you're struggling, if here's a number, here's people you can talk to. I think, Scott,
it becomes white noise to a lot of people. Like, when we look at I don't want to mention it, but like, if we look at the BLM movement, for example, a lot of people are now like, they're fucking taking the knee again. You're gonna get that. And I feel like that's where the problem with society will come. And even if we look at it, I know we understand that, be gamble aware, when the fun stops, but I feel like people are just going to look at it, whatever, and still do it anyway. I feel like, yes, maybe one or two people may prevent like a very small number of people. But I feel like after like a month, maybe 2 months, people are just, because think about it, like there's so much that happens that we know of. Like, even I daily, try to tweet something positive just to kind of like get people in the right mood, to start their day. But after a bit, they're just going to be like, whatever. It's just, move on.
You make a good point, actually. You guys, I didn't think of it like that, but you do. It's like adverts, isn't it? You fast forward them, you drive down the road, and you don't look at those adverts on the billboards anymore, do you? Because you just become a...
Yeah, you'll see it once, and then the second, whatever. Fucking same shit.
Yeah. I think, look, mental health, it does need to be spoken about. I mean, I had a mate who took his life, and still to this day, I think about him. I mean, his picture is literally right there, and I look at him every day, and it's never easy, and you do have that thought of, wish I'd done more or that, and it never really truly goes. And today, obviously, we've lost someone in the footballing community, and we haven't discussed football, and that was right for today. We will be back tomorrow for both England games. We'll be doing watch-alongs for them, so we will be back tomorrow talking football, talking England as much as they hurt us on a yearly basis, guys. So we will be back for that England versus Croatia under 21s at 5 p.m. in the last Euros group stage, a must-win game for England there. We'll also be back with England versus Poland at Wembley for the World Cup qualifiers. So if you want to join us tomorrow, where football is back on the agenda, but today it didn't feel right discussing football. Me and Sulz had planned the show out like I normally do with Sulz, because with the Arsenal show, he is basically the joint creator, and we had planned a show. We had planned the quiz, but the news this morning made all of that irrelevant. And even to the start of the stream, we were still going to discuss football at some point, but as the stream went on, it didn't become appropriate, hence why the name of the show changed and all of that. Maybe that's why there's this.
I think obviously me and I were speaking, we were like, I think as the day went on for me as well, I was just like, this isn't right what's happened. It's the more you think about it, I think what Aaron was saying was perfect. It's about self-reflecting. I'm not saying that I'm someone who's sent hate. So I might have when I was younger, probably have. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't definitively tell you that. Maybe I've said something to someone that may have not had the effect that I wanted on them. Maybe I was coming from a good place, but that's not come out exactly like that. But you know, these conversations that me and Niles like we'll always. I know me and you definitely will always bang on about it. We'll always make streams about it. You know, we've had how many now? Like 3, maybe 4 streams about discrimination. You know, about racism, about abuse generally on social media.
Yeah.
I'm still going to talk about it. If you think I'm not going to call people out indirectly about what they're doing is wrong, cancel me, because I'm genuinely never going to stop.
Yeah. And we'll have a stream coming up in a couple of weeks when the time is right. I'm not an imbecile. I can judge the time of things. I may have got it wrong today, and if I have, then DM me constructively. That's what I'll say. Be constructive. Me and Sulz have disagreed on many topics, many of them, but we still get on. We still care for each other. We still create with each other, because at the end of the day, there's more to life than a disagreement, and that's sort of it. Obviously, we will get the panel on again, maybe next week, maybe soon, because talking Arsenal is obviously what everyone wants to do on this show anyway. I personally don't really care if I talk Arsenal or not, but it's what I made the show for. I made the channel to talk about the Big Six. Well, yeah, if there are Tottenham fans out there,
we are Big Six. Don't try that one. Don't. You look like you were going to say it there.
No. The Big Six. I was more referring to us to Tottenham, because we still haven't managed to find fans of them. They're still hiding. So if you do know any Tottenham fans that do want to create content, then get them to DM me, because by next season that's my plan to have that. I have actually managed to find City fans, which is even more remarkable. So we will have a City show coming up as well, which I know, Scott, it's absolutely amazing that they're even around.
Are they about between 10 and 15 years old by chance?
I say nothing at all. But
mate, I live in Kent, so I'm completely other end of the world to Manchester, and I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago I saw my first ever Manchester City shirt, and I just felt sad. Really sad.
There's not many in Devon, I can assure you. There's plenty of Arsenal, Arsenal, Liverpool's, United's, Chelsea's. Sometimes I even question if they support Argyle. Okay, if you're from Plymouth and you don't support Argyle, then whatever, you don't know what you're doing, because Argyle's great. But we will be creating tomorrow the watch-alongs. I don't know who will be on there. I haven't even thought that much through. It'll be something I discuss in the morning. I know I'll be there. That's a guarantee I can give you. I know I'll be there, but I haven't sorted out who will be there. It will basically be judging them in the morning, see if they want to come on.
Can I ask something of the? Can I just ask something of the audience on a more light-hearted note? Because obviously it's been quite a somber conversation. If anybody can do anything, so anybody is watching this now or is watching the replay, do me one favor. Will you just go and subscribe to Sulz, because he's so close to triple figures, and he's really annoying me. So head over to his channel, because I've worked with you guys twice, mate. Niall, today's first time we've obviously worked together. It's been really cool. And Gunners 96, I know we've been trying to organise something. But specifically, just get over to Sulz channel and subscribe. He needs to get into triple figures pretty quick. So
if you haven't subscribed to Sulz, which I wouldn't know why you haven't. Like, he's been on pretty much every single show. So if you haven't, because I know I've asked multiple times, if you still haven't,
I think I know what the problem is. I think he spent too much of his time on everyone else's channel and just not his own. So, but no, you'll get there.
Okay. It's okay. I try to reciprocate as much as I can. We did a video yesterday where
he's giving too much. He's not receiving anything. He's giving too much.
I tried to reciprocate yesterday, and we did a great thing where he grilled me on my life, basically, which was fun. I enjoyed it. It was definitely something that I enjoyed. Sulz is a great content creator, and get him to that 100. Because if you haven't subscribed, then I'm just going to be more. I'm not even going to be angry. I'm just going to be disappointed in you. So
there's nothing worse than being disappointed.
Yeah, you don't want Let's Talk.
I'm not
Premier
angry.
League
I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, that's the worst one. So make sure you do check out Sulz. Check out the video yesterday we did as well. You'll find some insightful things about me that you probably didn't know. We are sort of thinking about doing something on this channel with the regulars where I get to grill them, and I'm personally looking forward to that one. I do feel like the Sonny grilling is going to be one I take most enjoyment out of. But yeah, to obviously on what has been a tough day, do make sure you've liked the video. If you don't like it, you don't have to like it. I'd appreciate if you could. If you didn't like it, then come to me, explain what you didn't like. Maybe we didn't do something in the right way, but the only way we can ever learn as humans is if we're told, and all of that. Russ, big up to Russ. Really sad news about Claude. About time people understood their actions online have real world repercussions. Absolutely true. I have done shout out to Scott as well. Big up to everyone. As I said, we will try and get the same panel on again. But Sulz, before we do wrap up, where can they find you, bro?
Yeah, you can find me at Sulz, which is the YouTube, and at Let's Debate Footy. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more variety of content, should I say, more than outside of Arsenal. There's going to be, obviously, like I had Niall on, where I'm going to be interviewing people who have done certain things in life where they've taken sort of, I wouldn't say unorthodox life paths, but people like football presenters, interviewers, managers, referees, footballers, or even like CEOs and businessmen, because we go through life, even now, like in the pandemic, we're all questioning our life choices and the careers that we've chosen and whether that was the right move. But in those lost moments, we actually don't know how to maybe fulfill our dreams or goals. And that's kind of where the concept came from. I wanted to like interview a variety. I've got someone coming on Thursday called James Rowe, who interviews footballers, and that's kind of the life he lives. He does it full time. You know, he's part of many great, organizations who scout players, who talk to young and up and coming players, and kind of just going to speak to him just the same way I did with Niall, understanding how that path came and what did he need to do to get there. Because I feel like they have invaluable life lessons that I couldn't tell you, but I'd love to know as well. And I want to share that with people because I've grown to come with a great network of people who can give different advices in life. So if that's something you're into, as well as obviously Arsenal content and football content, you can find me at Sulz, and then obviously you can find me at Let's Talk Premier League, because I'm pretty much a co-host at this point. Yeah. And wanted to give a shout out to the panel as well.
I wouldn't even say co-host, more like co-owner, to be brutally honest with you, mate.
Yeah. And I wanted to give a massive shout out to Scott and Farhan as well. I know, Scott, you're nearly at 200. You're on, is it 190 or is it still?
I think someone subscribed. Yeah, someone subscribed while we've been on. So that's always nice. Always bonus.
Yeah, so 10 away from the 200. So massive shout out to you. And obviously, I'll just pass it over to you now.
Yeah, guys. If you want to check out my channel, The Red Cannon, Google it. I don't think there's much else. If you search The Red Cannon, it's going to pop up. I don't know how. I don't want to sell myself, to be fair, but I will say, if you like flashy colours, I'm probably your channel you want to go to. If you like gimmicks at the moment, I'm a bit of a gimmick guy. I've got this thing behind me I set up because I had a Omri Aguero video that I did earlier, which didn't turn out too good because I think I just felt a bit down today. But anyway, but yeah, I do live watch alongs. We get some flashy colours going, trying to have a bit of a laugh. And yeah, be good to, if anyone wants to come join us sometime, that'll be cool.
Absolutely. And Gunnar since 96, I've still forgotten your name, mate. I have to write these things down. He has to be written down.
No one gets it the first time. It's all right. No one gets it the first time.
Or written down somewhere. But where can they find you, mate?
Yeah, so you can find me on YouTube, the YouTube platform. Gunner since '96, and what I aim to do is to release a piece of content every single day, all things Arsenal related. Yeah, Arsenal's my passion, it's my obsession, and yeah, I love talking about them. If you want to hear more than just a 10-15 minute video, I also record a podcast, a post-match reaction podcast after every single game, and that's the Arsenal Therapy podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the other websites that are insignificant to mention.
What a name!
I feel like my selling was really crap
basically,
now.
No, basically, he's a therapist, he's a psychiatrist. So if you're going
I'm
through
not
any,
a therapist,
as on,
no,
I'm talking, fam. Let me talk. Yeah, this is my time to talk. Yeah. So if you're going through it, like as Arsenal fans, yeah, our mental state, yeah, it's always up and down. If you need that to just stabilize, yeah, go check the therapist out.
I can't promise you I'll do.
I didn't ask. I just said you are the therapist, so
I will stay silent for now.
I'm only joking.
A big up to the old panel. We will get them back on when we do the next show, because I think we want to talk Arsenal, and I feel like they're going to be quite good at talking Arsenal. So we'll definitely do that. As I said, tomorrow we are back for the watch-alongs for England. Yeah, I'm putting myself through that misery again. It's not like I've done four games already, but hey, why not? Let's make it 6 and let's see what happens. You never know. England under 21s might go smash 5 past Croatia. I live in dreamland there, but you never know. Worse things have happened, or big thing, miracles have happened. I think United winning a trophy was a miracle. So you know, we'll be back there Thursday. Thursday is one that I'm very excited about, because we've got me and Don doing Ref's View. That's going to be an interesting one. We've got I'm a former referee, but he's a referee currently, I believe. So you're going to have 2 referees discussing VAR and has it ruined the game. So make sure you check us out on Thursday at 7 p.m. as we do that. Thursday, we also might be tiering the champions, the Invincibles, the Treble, the 08 United. We'll be doing all of them, and we'll see which one gets put in trash, or which one will, because you can only have one as the most elite champions of all time. So I'm sure there's going to be one heck of a good fight on that stream. Friday, we've obviously got the Chelsea show, the Liverpool show, and the United show, all on Friday. Make sure you check out the YouTube socials. Let's Talk EPL _ and Let's Talk EPL on Twitter. Make sure you check everyone out as well. A big thanks to everyone that's turned up. But I think the way to end this is the footballing community today lost a huge member of that community. Arsenal fan base have lost a huge man, and Claude will forever be remembered with his iconic clips. That man had some iconic clips that I think will get used. Maybe not soon, but they will get used again, and I think everyone will be able to come together as we remember Claude. But thank you for watching. It's been a hard one today for everyone. You didn't have to know Claude to be emotional about this, because you can think about whatever has gone on in life. But we hope we've done Claude justice. We've had a good, I think, debate about what we need. But yeah, to end it, rest in peace, Claude, and thank you for watching, everyone.